Hi again. Mm. I made a video last week after a while. I wasn't in a position to talk much. Um, and I was in a completely different energy last week because I was working through my own personal shock. So it feels like the last week was a year ago. So I honestly don't know if I'll be able to repeat what I said in my last week's video. And I'm not incredibly loud. I don't know how you hear me because I'm not alone here. I'm still not in Belgrade. I'm in my hometown, in my house. So I'm not the only one occupying this space. And I was for 40 days of this quarantine. I was in my village, so I did not make any videos with the lessons or comments as I used to. I made some videos that were crisis group meditations that were helping people go through some processes because of these energies and the events going around and the misinformation and too many information and where we are and what's happening with us and the people around us is triggering things too many. So I was basically, not in a position to express myself. So this is why I only offered guided meditations. And honestly, I'm a little bit um, disappointed and discouraged, mm, because in the last time I made a video before the last week, which was like 50 days ago by now, I was speaking about what I feel is actually happening with this disease. I wanted to say a stage show actually, but I just stopped myself with it. We're, that we're all caught up in, and I don't feel like the need to repeat all that. But that wasn't really taken very well, and nobody actually believed me. So all of the things are coming out to the surface now. But I'm in some new things that we are all going to be discovering soon globally. So the state of shock that I just went through is awaiting all of us. Um, I don't know how soon, but I think soon. So um, at the moment, I'm actually not ready and in a position to be a buffer for anybody else's shock because I'm still processing my own. I'll speak a little bit about it later. But my disappointment goes out to the fact that people are actually um, so reluctant. I mean, I don't see anybody actually wanting to see what is hiding behind the narrative of all this, of all these events. Because this has been, yes, everything that you hear and everything we can now read, and it's depending on the level you are at, it's true for you, but it's generally true. But uh, that's not what's really hiding behind. That's not what's really going on. Uh, it's a big cover up. It's a big, 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 huge cover up, and I'm really shocked to see how little, how few people want to really see what's behind it. And I spoke a little bit about it in my last week's video. And yeah, we're all working on ourselves and processing our own stuff and trying to go through it. And this is great. This is amazing. This is exactly what we need to do because Only by working on yourself and healing yourself, you can help the world and everybody else. But still, there is a point where we have to look at something like when you're working yourself, if you really are tiptoeing around the issue, the real issue that you need to work on, you're never going to be healing it. Because if you don't want to see it, it doesn't exist for you, and you're still storing it inside. It's still inside of your energy. So this is what we're globally doing now, and I cannot say that I didn't know about some things that are coming slowly coming out. I did, and not not in this exact way. Some things are new for me too, but somehow on some level, I feel as if I knew I knew about all this, and I knew exactly what I'm supposed to do. So yeah, this is why I'm sharing some of my own personal stuff. Maybe somebody would ask why I do that, but I do it because um, you wouldn't believe it any other way. I wouldn't be believing it if it wasn't happening to me. So um, honestly, I don't know how to start this because I was last week. I was a lot more in anger, and I wasn't ranting. I was in grief. I was in sadness, but there was anger there. And now I'm just, let's just discover what else is there. What the heck? I mean, the depth of the soul is just overwhelming. It's so, it's overwhelming on a personal level, so I can only imagine how that's gonna feel on a collective level. And the reason why I'm actually sharing this, because I'm assuming that there is a whole lot of us going through the exact same thing. It's just only that we don't know. We don't know. It's really rare that you stumble upon something like this. But I've been working so long on myself, and I've just been directed to look at this. I mean, I I couldn't walk away. I literally couldn't walk away. So um, luckily I had support of people that could actually direct me to where to look at, unlike now, because I was looking like all around it, and not because I didn't want to look directly into it, but because um it's that's how they created that's how it's created. um So that's one part of my disappointment, and the other part is that there's so many people who are working, who are in helping professions and energy workers, and they are there to be facing, to be witnessing, to be there for the people who are going through the hardest of things, without being their judge, without uh, dismissing in them and telling them that they're wrong, and they were the first ones that don't want to see something like this. And yeah, it's pretty bad. It's bad. And it's not new. It's not new. It's gonna be new for us, but it's nothing new. So um yeah, I gotta kind of got carried away in my disappointment in how many people are looking away from their own missions and their own selves, and not their own selves, but we would all rather keep some images of ourselves than actually be authentic and speak the truth, see the truth, speak the truth, and Just let that truth show itself so that we can actually do something about it. We would rather cover it up with other things. I mean, there's nothing new. Everybody does this. Even I'm dosing the information about all this because I want to keep bits and pieces of the life that I knew, that I thought, I mean, it was mine, but of, of the things that I thought are um, what my life is created around. And actually, what I shared last week in my Serbian video, what I found out, that information, that shock actually shattered it away. It completely, that's like a flash. I didn't experience, luckily, lightning striking me physically, but it wasn't a spiritual lightning. It was psychological and spiritual lightning. So yeah, at the moment we were talking about vaccines, and I don't want to. I mean, I don't want to really go into it. I'm sharing that with people who now want to hear, and I feel like I've said everything I needed to say about that, and other people are speaking about it now, so it's not my business anymore. It's my business is here to stand and carry this energy, be the energy um, mm, lighthouse for that, the truth that nobody else wants to talk about, and that very few want to actually see. That can be many things. That can mean many things in many different people's lives. But I'm speaking about a specific thing at the moment, and yeah, I really got. Um, I'm thinking about how all of these things, all everything that has happened is actually providing entertainment and food for our mind, something that our mind has to play with, to work through, to chew on, to constantly be running around and solving puzzles. Well, a lot of it, a lot is happening right in front of our noses. And I'm stalling with a reason now, because it's like some of the things that I knew like before are forever ruined for me. Like you know, I'm being distracted because yeah, like I said, I'm not alone around here, so somebody going around, and I'm being distracted because it's moving away my attention from energetically from what I'm gonna say, because I need a lot of space for this. I need a lot of strength, and I didn't mind speaking about it last week, but this week for some reason I do. Um, so everybody's talking about the um, characters who are behind the scenes of all that is happening right now, and political agendas of different people and different beings. I don't know what to call them. And the game of polarity and the dark and the light, and it's all distraction. It's all bloody distraction from what is really going on. And what is really going on is that we are actually giving consent to many of those things by running around like little hamsters on a wheel, chasing these puzzles that they place for us deliberately. And we're being distracted. We're being distracted from the reality of it, from what's really going on, from what they really want to hide. And they hide it in plain sight. They don't hide it in secret places. They hide it in plain sight. And it's oh God, I'm so angry at the moment. I mm, I'm angry not at them because they're doing it. They're doing what they're doing their part. It's their role. I'm angry with us. I'm angry with us. They don't want to see this. That are not. They're that would rather keep shreds of our conformity, of what we think security is, of what we think um, peace is, so that we would rather lie. We would rather not speak our truth. We would rather be we'd rather not be authentic. So I mean, what I'm going to tell you is it's going to sound pretty crazy. It's like mind fucking crazy, and it is. And uh, like I said, I've been experiencing it on my own skin, so I don't have any um, doubts about anything of this anymore, because I've been discovering things. I have been actually discovering things throughout these years. I just didn't know what these crumbs of information that I've been receiving actually mean. And now, now, uh, now I do, and it's it's bad. It's mind fucking crazy, and I don't know how else to call it. It's a great shock. The great shock actually serves to bring you a great awakening, and the great awakening is not actually what we thought it is. It's not like everything is, you know, rainbows and unicorns and sun and flowers. Maybe at some point it's gonna be, but before we get to the 5D, which by the way is not this, when you hear later a little bit of what this is, you're gonna be, gosh, I'm at the moment when I'm actually questioning, is is my mother really my mother, from all of the information that I'm getting, and not it's it's unbelievable. It is unbelievable, so unbelievable, that we would rather not listen to people who would be speaking about it, that we would rather call them crazy, and many of them have possibly been. I've been listening to some other people's sessions and some other therapist sessions, and I've stumbled upon of some of it with my clients, but I didn't knew the depth of it, and I didn't know that it actually has happened to me too. So yeah, I'm just pretty disappointed to the extent of where this goes, because by not wanting to look what's right in front of our noses, we're actually giving consent to it. It's like when you don't do anything about it, when you don't say anything about it, you are giving tacit consent. Some of us are doing that because they didn't know, they didn't have information. It's the first time something like this, they come across something like this. Some might never, because they're not ready. Some maybe because they heard here and there, but they didn't have the entire picture, or didn't want to, or they couldn't cope. And some because they were not allowed, because information were withheld from them, or they were just giving partial things of the story, like I was with my own personal story, so that you don't discover the whole thing, the whole truth. Because when you discover the whole truth about who you really are, then then there's no leverage over you. but also carries the responsibility that you have to stand behind it when you're fully when you want to be fully in your sovereignty, and mm, you got to speak the truth, and you got to represent it. So that's why many people don't want to do it, and they'd rather keep same old, especially if it worked so far. Oh, with some turbulences maybe here and there, but it kind of worked. But the thing is that none of us, we're not going to be able to hold on to this old reality anymore, because it's pretty soon, it's already shattered, but pretty soon it's going to be completely blown, not into pieces, it's going to disintegrate. So at the moment I'm talking about um, the informations about the children that are coming here and there. They're being rescued, like about human trafficking and sex trafficking, especially children trafficking, but I'm mostly speaking about the child abuse and child sacrifices in ritual purposes, uh, to be for the energy purposes, and God knows what are other purposes. And why I cared about that story is, like I mentioned, when I was in my peace studies, we were talking about human trafficking and teenagers being rescued from being trafficked at, as sex slaves or sex goods. So that's nothing unfamiliar for me. But even then, way back in 2010, people didn't want to hear about it, and we always think it's happening somewhere else, not here, not to us, but it's happening everywhere, and especially lately. And it's actually the real pandemic. That's the real pandemic. That's the real issue. That I don't know, will ever the scope of it really come out to the surface. So I'm not talking about who is doing what, who is guilty, who is participating, who is not, and who's, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I don't know about that, and quite possibly we might never know the whole truth. Might some, but I mean, I'm not going into that direction now. I don't doubt that story of rescuing missions, because on the astral plane, my soul was doing something. I was being called. Not me, but the priestess, Isis priestess group that I'm a part of. Um, well, we received this calling, and um, I mean, it was obviously mm, soul calling long before it became apparent. So my soul was already doing something, and obviously it knows exactly what to do, because I was being used as a portal for these children, and those children were, I saw them in a ceremony that I did for myself too, because I was not feeling well. I thought it was my own processes that I was going. It actually was, because it did wake up my own processing, my own unhealed stuff. Not unhealed, well, unhealed, but the stuff that I did not know about until now. But I'm coming to that. But the um, mm, what was going on is that, in that ceremony, I actually found out that it was an simple online ceremony, like singing of ceremonial songs, traditional songs, and I was in a meditative state, and then I saw that those children, like babies, toddlers, mainly toddlers, and I didn't see any older than 5, and they were going through me as if I was a door, and they were going into some through a field of flowers into some light that had a very loving feminine presence, and they were clear on the other side. Those were not alive children. How come that they were killed and clear from everything that from the trauma and everything that's been done to them? I don't know, because I was not, obviously I wasn't doing it consciously, and obviously I was not doing it alone. But at the moment in that place, I was, that was only me. I was seeing only myself and those children and this presence on the other side. Well, I'm assuming that they were, because I didn't see a specific being, it was just light. So I'm assuming that that's a collective, that I was not one being, and they were waiting for these children. But as I myself was not unprepared, although my soul knows what it's doing, I was unprepared. Um, I didn't feel well. I was waking up feeling horrible, had horrible dreams. Um, I was feeling as if I'm coming back from war every morning when I wake up. That was like 4 weeks ago, something like that, 4 weeks ago. And I had something like a black tar on myself. It was sticky, and it was horrible. And I didn't have all of my usual tools that I need to use to help myself and clear myself. So I was in a position to ask somebody else to help me, and many people actually did. And I'm really grateful for that. And then there was a being, or a huge reptilian being on me, which was really holding me down. And then there was a portal open, and I was attacked through that portal, and many not so nice things that maybe somebody wouldn't be aware of, and I wasn't aware of what I was doing. Actually, why was this all happening? I was aware of all this because this was in front of my spiritual vision, because they were trying to block me from what's actually happening. And yeah, well, that got cleared. Don't ask me if I'm better from that position. I'm not sharing this so that I tell you that I'm not feeling okay. I'm telling you what was going on. I'm light years away from that moment now because I'm going through some other things. I'm just giving you the information. I'm just sharing with you what's going on and what's really behind all this. This was happening on astral plane. So this is why I know that these information are real. The rescues have been happening, but who, what, now, how many, I don't know, and I don't honestly care. I mean, if you have um, enough powers, and if you think you're a spiritual healer and want to help people, go there yourself and help them, help those souls. They need that. So I was not the only one doing this, and I saw that there are not only children but adults too, who will possibly at some point, children that were also kidnapped and grew up there in those tunnels. There were tunnels, I saw the tunnels, but I didn't go into them. However, I did discover that I personally have the experience of those tunnels. So I was just in front of it, and the last thing that I saw that it showed me was in many beds. Like I don't know what were those beds, but they were just bodies. I know that they were bodies because they were covered with white linen. Many small bodies, and many soldiers there, and many beings. There were beings there, and the energy is horrible, and a lot of grief and a lot of pain because those children were tortured, and they were used in rituals, and they're in the black magic, and because that's how they are kept, and that's what they're used for. And I just asked I asked to stop seeing that. I just couldn't, because I couldn't handle it anymore. So that's not happening anymore. Other people were working with the alive ones. I didn't work with the live children. I worked with the ones who died. And I didn't actually consciously say, yes, this is what I want to do. I said, sure, if needed, I'm gonna help. And what I did was um, a guided meditation for inner children, inner child, because I do a lot of work with inner children with my clients. This is the part of in an individual session. I never do a session without inner child work. So I did a group session for that, and if people did not understand, I didn't call it a rescue because somebody is rescuing children in the States and so on. No, every time you work with an inner child, and every time you change a situation for your own inner child and the part unhealed child aspect of your wounded child, and when you heal it and integrate it, that's a rescue. We do that all the time. I do that all the time in my session. So this is why my group meditation was called a rescue, but it was also called like that to trigger to trigger you to pay attention. But it's not new, and it is not the political backgrounds of it is not what triggered me to do that and to call it like that. I do it for the last 5 years with each and every one of you who comes at my session, and we did it in group sessions too. And each and every one of you can do it on their own for your own wounded inner child aspects of yourself. I actually did it for myself too. I also did it because the energy that was going around on the 4D plane needed to be cleared. Like I said, this is why there were other people there. And I know for people from that group, and those were mainly women. Maybe I only know about one or two men who were doing it. And I don't know why that is. I really don't understand. One of the things that I think why is because you really need to have to have embodied the energy of a divine mother, of a presence of a divine mother within you, because she's doing that through you. You're just a channel for that energy at that moment, and you're being used by her at that moment. And maybe that's why mainly women, maybe because I'm not a mother in my life, but maybe it's because this energy of motherly presence was needed at that moment. For I suppose that many of those children need that, and some have never experienced that. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe this is from my mind only, but you need to have a lot of love in yourself to be able to withstand that amount of pain and grief. And you need not to shy away from it, not to look away from it, because what we mostly do when we encounter something like that, a pain of that amount, we would rather run away and look away like we're doing now. Like each and every one of the therapists that I know actually did to me. I'm an abused child, and I spoke a little bit about it, but only now have I discovered the depths of it. So they'd rather not go there. They'd rather not, because they think, mostly because they're afraid that they're gonna re-traumatize you, re-trigger something. But there are other things why. Some don't know what to do with you. Some cannot handle the emotions that's triggering within them. Some cannot handle the pain. Some cannot handle the some don't know how to empathize, and don't know how to process their own emotions that are coming out. And some because they don't want to, because they're part of the story. So I think actually that there's nothing wrong with grief. It doesn't really matter whether it's a grief from something shocking and traumatizing that has happened to you, like an abuse, or a loss, or an accident, or an illness, or disaster, or somebody died. That's a natural thing for you, for anybody, to be going through grieving process in that moment. And yeah, there are sometimes the now moment is too heavy for us to be in it, and we tend, like when somebody's going through trauma like that, they rather not be in their body, because the only way you can survive something like that, you can I'm not talking only about the emotional pain, I'm talking about the physical pain. When it's physical pain that it's being inflicted, you're experiencing, I've spoken about it, you're experiencing um, consciousness split, a soul split in a way, because your soul leaves your body so that you are able to survive that event. But it's not really good when it's unhealed and unprocessed later, because you are not fully you, you're not fully present, and you're not fully who you really are meant to be. So why I'm speaking about this? It's because like, I think grief, there is no BS in grief. You cannot, I mean, you can for a while, but then you're not healthy anymore. And you have to admit that you're sad. You have to admit that you're in pain. You have to admit that something's wrong to yourself, and then possibly to someone else. The problem, that's not a problem. We have a problem when nobody wants to hear you and nobody wants to help you properly for whatever reason. Maybe they're just not qualified enough. It doesn't really matter. But sometimes, there's nothing you really need to do but just be there and be a witness and be present for this person, like holding the space. I mean, just by listening to the story, you don't sometimes really need to say anything. And that's the truth. The pain and the grief is giving you the gift of truth. Because if you continue for too long to lie to yourself that everything is okay where you're in pain, physical or emotional, I mean, you cannot hide physical pain for too long. This is why sometimes our emotions speak to us through our bodies. But we are able very well to hide our emotional pain. And sometimes we don't know because we don't remember what caused it. So yeah, that's one of the things that got me disappointed, because from all of the people who are supposed to be actually dealing with this and being called to be a witness for this, or even a therapist or a healer for this, um, you'd rather close your eyes and you'd rather run away. You don't have to be an astral traveler or have great, I don't know, shamanic powers or whatever to be astrally helping anyone. That's not required from everybody. You just have to be a witness. We're all going to have to be witnesses, witnessing this. And yeah, that's what actually got me disappointed, because I thought that there is a whole lot more people around who are going to be holding the space for this. I actually did not feel supported by my twin soul at this process at all. I don't know, maybe my energy was cleared or something like that. That was so heavy. That was so heavy that if that was the case, I did not properly feel it. So I felt alone. Other than this group, I feel very much alone in that. Or not at the moment, but I feel like there is actually only a couple of places, a couple of people who are actually willing to not only speak about it, but offer something, offer a solution, offer offer a space, a warm space, and warm, open heart for this to be released, because it can't be released while we are refusing to see it. And why is this going happening right now? It's not about, because, yeah, because it's somebody's elections and stuff like that, but it's not on what I'm focusing on right now. The earth is ascending. That's the truth. We are all ascending, but we are discovering things through this ascension. The apocalypse is it's revealing things. It's unraveling things. That's what it means. It doesn't mean destruction. It means seeing things for what they really are, for what's really going on. And when you start to discover all those things, and when you start to learn about symbolism, like I did lately, I'm like shocked. I'm shocked. Like, I knew about some things, but most of the things are like Starbucks is completely ruined for me for the rest of my life, and many other things. It sounds pretty bad and pretty dark, because it actually is, but it's gonna remain dark if we continue to refuse to see it. When you turn on the light in a dark room, it lights up everything, and this is what awakening is. I mean, if there is mess in this room and dirt and spider webs and stuff that you haven't been there for a really long time, and there are other inhabitants there, you're gonna be seeing them. You're gonna be seeing all that when the lights are turned on. And this is what's happening with us now. So, I mean, we don't really know what's in the energy of the earth and in the roots of the earth. This is just the first, this is what's in the crust of the earth. And there are 3 or 4 more other layers. I don't remember at the moment. I don't remember them. And I mean, one of those is regarding those beings that I've mentioned. And I don't really think that some of those things were going to be coming to the surface for the general public, maybe, or not lately, but we're going to have to be facing them before we come to the inner core and the inner earth, which is actually pure. And that's one of the things, and these things are actually liberating us, because what we don't want to know, what we don't want to see, what we are hiding, or what's being hidden from us, it's what controls us. And we're allowing it by our consent, or tacit consent, or agreed consent, or just given, or whatever. Some are taken, but by now we're not being given all the needed information. But when we know about it and we don't do anything about it, then that's just tacit consent. And this is what's being counted on. So one of the things is that actually I don't have all the information at the moment. I'm just giving you, I mean, this has to do with slavery. It's not a modern day slavery. It's an old it's an old slavery that we just don't know about. Didn't know about it by now. Didn't want to know about it. It's nothing new. But human trafficking, it's not new form of slavery. There is another form of slavery that we are all part of, and it has to do with our birth certificates. And things are being done through those birth certificates, and we are being given consent through our birth certificates for us for I mean, basically anything to be done to us without actually even knowing, because I mean, I did not know about it. This is something new for me too, and I'm only learning about it, so this is why I cannot tell you more. But it has to do with our birth certificates, and that's being used. And this is how, even when you are born, you're giving consent of ownership of your body and property and stuff like that. I honestly don't really understand all about it. So when I do know more, I will share with you. But so far, I don't. This is completely new for me, and possibly I'm dosing the shock for myself. But that's something that we're going to be facing also soon. And there is a solution for that. Well, there is always a solution, but first we're gonna be facing with something that's going to be a lot more shocking. I think this is going to come like a slighter shock later on to us. So why am I mentioning all this? Not only because I participated in it, I didn't share it so that you think how I'm all this, I don't know, one, I don't know, wonderful being who's doing all this. It's an, there was a reason actually that I've been called to do this, because it concerns me. It concerns me because I've had past lives. In my past lives, me and my children were sacrificed. I had at least 2 lives, if not more, where I've been sacrificed, like as a blood sacrifice. And it was a ritual sacrifice, and it keeps you submissive in other lives too. And I've been distracted again, and incidentally or not, when I started to speak about this. Also, I've experienced some of it in this life. I only found out about it recently. After that, actually, it pulled it out from the depths of where my mind, my unconscious, where it was hidden, and it was so deeply hidden that, I mean, it took my entire life actually to just find out about it. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I've done so many sessions on me, and I've learned so much through my clients and other things, but this is like this is the most shocking thing of my life. So most of those children are kept. There is, I mean, I'll leave you to discover yourself what they do to them and why. And most of them all of them are actually sodomized, because this is how the soul split happens. And then they're able to use the part of your consciousness in various different ways. And this is how we are slaves, many of us, most of us, to the certain groups, to secret societies that are doing this, who are mainly connected to the deep state and through, and as far as I'm concerned, it was a CIA, but I don't know what other agencies are connected to it, and I just. So I mentioned before in my videos that I've had informations about MK Ultra programs, that I've been a part of that, and how I had an ethereal chip, and how I can't hear on this side and this ear, left side, and I didn't really have many information about it other than this. But recently, I didn't even really know actually what that means. But recently, I found out about it, and what it actually means is that exactly that you are being used from your childhood. You're being programmed. A program is implanted in you deeply in your subconscious by a programmer. And they start early on from childhood, and they train you, so that they can use your consciousness, and use you in different realities and in different dimensions, and in this reality dimension, for the work that you're doing for them, and you don't remember. And the chip, and the implants that I've had, are some are there to block you from remembering. Some are there to um, give you other people's memories and the karma, so that you clear other people's karma. And that, yeah, that actually is possible. Why? And why is it possible? Because you think it's yours. That's the only reason why. You do you do have your own things, but I mean, you might remember that many times I mentioned that I'm feeling like, I mean, I've been clearing around a lot of other people's shit, and I can't even get to my own from all that. So that happens through implants, and the way that they sodomize you when you're young. They send it, either that happens either through somebody in your family, and or they send somebody to you, so you don't remember the event, and this person doesn't remember the event. It can only be one time event, but it only serves to split your consciousness. And at that time, uh, they put a control device inside of you. So this ethereal chip that I had did not happen at that time. It happened in another time. But I had something in the back of my spine, and actually, when I had sessions, before I had sessions around this, I had pain in my lower back, and something was going through my legs, like horrible energy, and I couldn't step on my left leg. And this actually serves that if you start to remember and you start to search for it, they are triggering it, triggering programs in you, so that you either stop working, or I mean, you either get sick, or um, you can be assassinated through that. And that's what this was meant for, but it's not there anymore. I already spoke about this, and it's been scorched. So why do they choose? How do they choose you? Why do they choose you? Well, they usually target children with abilities, certain abilities, and families who are destroy families, or they destroy them. But usually, what is the case is because of your origins. For me, it was as much as my star origin as it is my physical origin, and that I myself did not know anything about until recently. I don't know about it much now either, but I'm beginning. That's not the time. It's not the time yet for that, but it's going to unfold. So you have somebody throughout your life who's given to you, actually, who's your handler, and who's going to be triggering you, and these programs that they installed in you through certain gestures, words, frequencies. For me, that was my father, or should I say stepfather. And I won't speak about that event. I mean, that what happened from somebody completely different. But I mean, I didn't have memories of my two when I was 2 years old. But what recently came out is, I mean, where I remember that I had my very first session, hypnotherapy session, was from when I was 2 years old, and I was seeing myself in a different setting with carousels in a fair, and it was not from our culture, and so we thought that was a past life, but it quickly went away. So what happens when they insert a program in you? That program is called a wizard, by the way. And the way it happens is through Walt Disney movies, and a specific Walt Disney movie, Fantasia, cartoon movie. You can look up about him and many other things on your own. But when I read about this and I stumbled upon it, before my second session for myself, because I've also mentioned that I've been told that I've had an abduction, which is a real thing. I just work through that. And that was when the program was installed. And you have a programmer who's putting deeply into your subconscious a program, and the memory of this event they're putting into a bubble and send it to to nothingness, to space, and they create a rainbow. So when you try to search, they create alters of you, other yous. So when you and have many different points. So if you ever start to remember and try to search for it, you will find those alters and not at the exact memory of the event. So this is why I couldn't find it. This is why we couldn't find it so far, because I mean nobody knows about this. I myself recently found out about this, and the actual words saying. I mean there is. I mean I actually found a document that is saying that is going through the movie minute frame by frame, minute by minute, and saying like if you search for a rainbow you will only find a star, and then there's unicorns and stuff. I mean I'm since I discovered this, I'm questioning everything that I've known so far, and I'm wondering how much have all of us been programmed through. I mean, we are programmed through media, but through things like these, through movies and Disney movies and the things that we're learning. I'm not talking about the folk tales and folk fairy tales, but I'm talking about these ones. So that, I mean, everything that we listen through YouTube and other platforms now that we're thinking are a bit different than mainstream media, how much of those are triggering us to create the reality that somebody else wants us to create? Because like right before all this started happening, and all these sessions for myself, I all of a sudden started finding myself singing like over the rainbow. I love that song, but I mean, I'm suspecting that that was supposed to be my trigger for something. I don't really know yet what was my program, what they wanted me to do. One of the programs was that they, in an actual lifetime, a past lifetime, and an original blueprint, they created a false timeline where they convinced me deeply, that in the part of the subconscious where the archetypes, I mean unconscious actually, where the archetypes are, I've been convinced that I'm bad, that I'm not good, that I'm a dark wizard, and that I've done things like these, like they're doing in past lives, which is actually has never been the case. And I'm wondering about now how whether some of the lives that I've seen myself that I haven't had like emotional response to, how true they are and how much they're the part of the program that they wanted me to find. So what I'm saying here is that, and even in this book they're explaining, this is the program that CIA is using. MK Ultra program is a CIA program, and they are creating operatives, sleeper operatives. So for me now, even when I hear that you should awaken and you're a sleeper, means something else, and it meant like a week ago. And I'm wondering how many of us are there, everywhere, because the technology that they have is just insane. And they can do many things, and when they split your consciousness, when you do things for them, you're actually not yourself, you're even in a different body. I know this sounds completely crazy, but you're on a mission, and you are, it's like everything they've been showing us in movies, but it's actually real. And I've heard other people speaking about it. So what was I supposed to do? Or me, I don't know, maybe if I've done it, I don't know now. And I don't know at the moment. I'm going to find out. And I don't know who my programmer is, but I'm going to find out. I've been seeing some people. I don't want to, and I've discovered all this through all these. I mean, if you remember my previous videos, I've been speaking a little bit about things that have been happening to me and the astral attacks and stuff that I've had. So while I was helping myself through this, I've been discovering things through this. So I've been seeing some people, and I mean, for instance, now I know what the white rabbit, like a mask with a white rabbit and red gloves mean, and I've seen who's behind it, a woman that's behind it. So I know exactly what that means, and I know exactly what is the group following me, because it's the group. I have a problem with the group. It's a Masonic part of them, as much as I found that it's a Knights of Malta. Um, and yeah, um, many other things that I've been finding out, and I'm actually not sharing openly here. And why am I saying this now? Because I know some of them are going to be listening to this, and it's not to be provocative or anything. It's just, to what extent do you have to close your heart to be doing something like that to anybody? Not to mention to a small child. And I'm sharing a little bit of this because I really would like you to understand the effect of it too. And it's to all of us, to some of to some of the children, to those children, to your children, to anyone's child, because it's, at the moment they're going to be targeting many of our children. I don't have children, but I mean, in the eyes of the Divine Mother, everyone is her child, and she has space in her heart for all of her children. But some of the things she just doesn't want to take on anymore. We got to be healed from this. We got to heal from this. And even those who are doing this have to be healed, because you have to be pretty darn bad. You have to be pretty sick yourself, and pretty beat up, and pretty abused yourself to be doing something like this. Yeah, I discovered that it's because of my lineage, because they know who you really are a long time before actually you do. They know when you're a child, and this is why they are tapping you. These are tapping devices. They want to know at all time where you are, what you do. Because they have plans with you. They have plans with me. I'm only discovering a little bit about those plans. And they're using your energy. And then you cannot claim your sovereignty, and you cannot claim your, well, not inheritance. I'm not talking about the material inheritance, but bloody hell. And like, nothing that I thought of my family, that I knew anything about my family, was the truth. And I want to know who I really am. I have the right to that. It's my birthright. I want to know who my other relatives are. They keep popping up. I keep finding out that some and this or that person is my relative, and I don't know how. I have the right to that, and I've been robbed. I've been robbed of that. When you plant, I mean, can you even imagine what they can do if they can do something like that to you? They create your entire life for you when you're a child. And God knows how many of us are they doing this to. So this needs to be said. This needs to be stated. I don't know if you're going to think that I'm an attention seeker, or maybe you're going to think that I'm brave, but neither one of those is correct. I'm doing this because I'm compelled to do it, because I'm asked to do it, because it's the truth. Mm, and because I felt like I've been running around in circles for so long, this is finally the truth. And however painful it is, it's really welcome that we really should welcome the truth and the shock that it carries and everything that it carries, because when you really turn on the light, then you can actually do something for yourself finally. Then you can actually heal. Then you can actually create what you really want to create. And you can be free. You're not free. The people around you are not free. People who are your handlers are not free. Some of them create what the handler means, that I said that they actually give you their trauma. They are passing their trauma on to you, different means, but they made a deal. Some of them are unconscious. I don't remember this, or they're running on a program. Some of them are very conscious of it and doing it deliberately, because by passing on their trauma to you and their karma to you, they think that they're free, but they're in a loop of being in service of those people, unless they're growing in their hierarchy. And yeah, I don't wanna be um, tied up to that. I didn't even know that I was tied up to that, but I was wondering, well, with everything that I do, with everything that I learn, with everything that I've done for myself and my clients and many other people, how come that there are still things that I just cannot, I mean, the cords then that I just cannot be free from, that I cannot, I felt held back, constantly held back. Like even now, when all this started, and I told you in the beginning, I was not in a position to make this video. I felt watched all the time. I felt my freedom of movement was taken away because I couldn't walk out, because my folks were so scared that I'm gonna catch a disease and I'm gonna bring it to them. So they were not allowing me to go out either. So I felt like my freedom of speech was taken away because I had to wear a mask and I couldn't actually speak about all this. And even now I'm speaking in codes, and I'm not speaking like I'm used to, because I'm not completely in a space, in a setting that I feel completely free to expand, and I just want to expand. And yeah, it's true that you're creating what it is inside of you, and the reality is reflecting what's inside of you. So the reality was reflecting with all the children that I was working with and everything that's going on inside of me, because I also felt like that. I felt trapped. But I mean, this is something you cannot, this is what I said in the beginning, you cannot deal with something you don't know you have. You don't know what it is, because the thing is that this program is locked. It's not something that you brought from your past life. It's not something that you picked up from your parents. It's not something that you're conditioned into. It's been placed inside of you. It's been implanted in you, and it was a chip. Remember, it was a chip. So you have to unlock it first, and you have to know how to unlock it first. You have to discover. Like I said, I don't even know what they wanted me to do. What is it that I was actually meant to do for them as a secret sleeping operative? Or I don't know. I don't have the better word for that. So this is, you have to carefully unlock it, because it can create other mess inside of you, psychologically, emotionally. So at the moment, I'm working with a therapist who is she's specializing is satanic ritual abuse, because this is what it actually is. She's specializing in MK Ultra programming, but this is what that actually is. Because there are other beings, beside the specialists in implants and programs are the gray ones. but there are other beings who have benefits from this. I haven't discovered all of that yet. So I'm working with a therapist who has 40 years of experience in it. I've been directed to that therapist. She's from Canada. Her name is Sandra Fact. And I've been directed to her through somebody who's working with me in this group that I mentioned, the Priestess of Isis group. And she had something similar in her family with somebody with child. So this is why she knew what I was talking about, because I asked her. Only said one sentence to her. So what does this MK Ultra thing means? Because I've been told I've had it in my sessions, and she looked at me and she is a seer. She knew, and she directed me. And the very thing that you're able to speak about it and hear the information from somebody who actually knows what you're talking about is a liberating fact in itself, and it's a healing fact in itself. This is what I was saying in the beginning. So so yeah, the Sandra, you can find her online, but there's not too much information what she does, because it's been, a little bit watered down. She would love, her mission is to raise awareness on this. I mean, she telling me she had a client who was a housewife. She's a housewife, simple housewife, and there she has memories of her, being taught how to shoot and going in at missions, some actions in I don't know, somewhere in African continent, and the woman is a housewife. And how would she know about all these um, heavy things and operating guns and stuff like that? And it's insane. It's pretty insane. So yeah, it's hard to believe, and some of the things are not openly shared. But just I am being who I am, so I share it. I just feel I'm called to share it, and I'm obviously having the experience, so I'm obviously also called to raise awareness of it. So she wanted me to organize a workshop or education where she can do some training on it for other healers, other therapists, and other energy and people in helping professions to understand what they're dealing with when people start talking about when they stumble upon something like that, like I did, whether with their clients or in their own personal lives or whatever. So I don't know, if you think you're dealing with something like that, you can contact me and I can give you her contact, because for now I don't know anybody else who's dealing with it. I have helped some of my clients, but we haven't gotten this far. We haven't gotten that far, because and it's better, because you need to have an expert so that you don't break something else while trying to fix this, because there are certain steps you need to follow, and there's certain things you need to know about those programs. You need to find programs. And yeah, I'm gonna know at some point, but so for now, I would really like for those of you who are interested in hearing about this, and possibly being in a training or something like that, to write to me and tell me you are, express an interest. And I'm asked her to create a little video so that you can know a bit more from her about her work, because I cannot speak about it, and I'm in the process. I don't know. I don't know everything, but so she can explain this better. So yeah, for now I'm raising awareness in this way, and the thing is that I learned through my own experience, and it's like I really need to have a really long talk with myself and my soul at some point of, what the fuck were you thinking? It's I must be crazy. Yeah, I'm questioning about some of the free choices and soul free choices through all this, because this is actually bringing a new spotlight on the things that I know about this and I've discovered so far. But there is a reason, like I've learned anything from my clients and through my work, is that there is a reason for everything, and there is a reason. Why now? Why am I discovering all this now? And why was I willing, well, if I was willing to experience it at some level. So, for the soul, everything is an experience, but knowing of what I do in that plane, I'm wondering, it's not about learning experience, it's about clearing. Because I just knowing about the souls that are supposed to be coming here and they're not willing to experience something like this. They're not here for that. They're here for other things. And they're unwilling. They're unwilling to experience and re-experience things like this again in this planet mindfuck, or whatever I should call it. It's what the only thing that I've discovered so far, that this is my hiding place from this, from another plane, that this is where Earth is where I hide, where I'm in exile. And it started somewhere else. I don't know about that yet, and somebody doesn't really want me to know, but I'm gonna know. If this is the last thing that I do in my life, I'm gonna know, and I'm gonna liberate myself from it. So yes, this is a talk about sovereignty, and this is also the talk about you, all of the soul workers. I don't want to call people who are in helping professions light workers, but I don't have a better expression, so I'll use the soul workers to come back to their mission. Because this is why I've been disappointed. I mean, my twin soul have, honestly, you have disowned me more than Christ has ever been disowned so far. And I don't know what to say about that. So yeah, discovering all these things and seeing how we're being manipulated into being in disconnect with our own selves and our higher selves and our souls, and with all this, our real heavenly partners and twin flames and twin souls. I better not say anything, because I might regret some things later, but it has been, with everything else, it has not been nice. And I know why I'm saying this, because I know from our past lives, from previous experiences in those past lives, we all people are invited to speak about this, and why, and why. And if you want to take a look at that place, you will know why too. And not because of the, like I said, I was not the dark one. And when I say this, I'm not talking about the shadow work, because this is the actual shadow work. Discovering and working through something like this is the real deal shadow work. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being pulled to where you should not go, and staying on track. And this is an invitation and a calling to stay on track. And I really, with everything that's been happening for quite some time now, I didn't really think I'm going to have to be doing this all over again, like extending this call. But yeah, this is the call for everybody, not just my counterpart, but for everybody, I'm extending this call on the behalf of the Galactic Federation of Light and the Ashtar Command, and on the behalf of the unified white brotherhood and sisterhood. I'm inviting you to come back to your mission and to step fully into your missions and to accept it. And I'm inviting you and I'm calling you, and I'm with this, invoking you and initiating you into this, into your full missions. And I'm inviting you to take a look at the truth and allow it. Just return to your soul. And see what you did not want to see so far. Just feel this calling. And be who you are really meant to be entirely here. Not only what suits you, but entirely. And with this, I am officiating. Some of you who are watching this, I don't know who you are, but your soul will know. And you will understand this calling. I'm officiating you to step into the positions and into the missions of the Galactic Federation of Light, and to visit the ships and dreams, the light ships that are there, so that you can be given your own responsibilities and remember them. That's what I'm going to finish with. Oh, it lasted a little bit longer. I'm just thinking whether there is anything else that I needed to say at this moment. The reason why I did this, because we're going to be, us who are doing this are aware of it and accepting our missions, we're going to be called to be calming down the shockwave. And the reason why I was working through my own shock now, my own discoveries now, is because I needed to experience shock. I'm able to help you go through it, because quite possibly I would think that you would be overreacting or something like that. And honestly, like I said, if it was not happening to me, quite possibly I myself would not believe in this. So yes, from all the other people that I worked so far, I'm obviously called to do this now. And honestly, the most of the things that I'm interested in now, I haven't been doing sessions for a while, in private sessions, and I'm going to come back to that next week. And I'm inviting you to call me for a private session too. And they will be in person, like they have been so far. But it's going to change, obviously, what I need to do, because from all the things from past lives, I've been mostly lately interested in these off-planet lives and parallel lives, that in these new discoveries, in these new lights, seem to be something else. And like in 2 years' time, we're going to be needing more experts to work with people on this, because we have all been programmed in different ways. Like I said, through media mainly, but in different ways. I just don't know about it. And I'm really making an appeal on my colleagues to think about this and consider and remember their sessions, whether you're a hypnotist or in some other, using some other methods. Still, don't disregard this, because it's a serious deal. It is a serious deal, and you don't know with those trigger words and frequencies and touch and music, or it can be pretty much anything what they're triggering people to do. So just think about it. Yeah. Soon I'm going to be discovering more about it. But like I said, the training, if you're interested, will be available, and I'm very much interested in doing that, because I'm obviously directed to there. It seems to be mine to be raising awareness of it too. It's they're really crazy. There are some of the things that have been used. It's technology, and some of those things have nothing to do with like people, inserting programs in you like this, or just using some occult stuff. But they're using occult stuff through symbolism and through frequencies. And when they're trying to keep your programs running, they do use occult stuff, because they're doing things that are in their best interest, whether they're because they're paid for it, or whether because they're keeping up their own reality, and that reality is sustained on you, on us, on the energy of us, on the energy of our children, and the energy of not us not knowing, not paying attention. And the time is beginning to be right for us to take notice, pay attention. So I hope it happens sooner than later. But this is my humble attempt in this, and even if this is only a story, it's my story, and I'm owning it. And I'm finally discovering it and owning it. And this is an act of liberation for myself and others too, and an example, hopefully, for you to do it. So yes, send me a PM if you're interested in that training or stuff like that, or you're going through something similar. So thank you very much for paying attention and listening to something like this, and hopefully next time there'll be more sharing of session wisdoms like I've been doing before.